The moment she looked at my place card, she laughed loud enough for half the reception hall to hear. "Oh, they actually sat her here?" Her friends burst into giggles. I looked down at the little white card with my name written in elegant gold letters. Table 1. Right beside the groom's family. She smirked, crossed her arms, and whispered, "Guess pity invitations are still a thing." I smiled politely. Because she had no idea what was waiting inside the envelope resting on that very chair. And neither did I. My name is Claire. I'm 53 years old. 5 years earlier, I thought my marriage to Daniel would last forever. We had been together for 28 years. We raised one daughter. Built a home. Started a small accounting business together. Shared birthdays, anniversaries, hospital visits, graduations, holidays. The kind of life that looks ordinary until it's suddenly gone. People always asked what destroyed our marriage. I used to answer with one word. Betrayal. At least, that's what I believed. It started quietly. Daniel began working late. At first, I didn't question it. Tax season always kept us busy. Then came the phone calls. Whenever I entered the room, he'd step outside. He started locking his phone. He changed the password on our shared computer. Little things. But little things become enormous when love begins to disappear. One evening I found a restaurant receipt. 2 dinners. Wine. Chocolate dessert. The date was our anniversary. The anniversary he'd forgotten. I sat at the kitchen table staring at the receipt until midnight. When he finally came home, I held it up. "Who were you with?" He barely looked. "A client." "You took a client out on our anniversary?" "It wasn't planned." His voice sounded tired. Detached. Almost annoyed that I had asked. I wanted to believe him. Instead, I folded the receipt and kept it. Something inside me had changed. Weeks later I noticed perfume on his jacket. Not mine. Soft floral. Expensive. When I asked about it, he shrugged. Someone hugged me at work. Another explanation. Another crack. Our daughter Emily noticed it too. She was 24 then. She watched us eat dinner in silence. Finally she whispered. "Mom, is Dad seeing someone?" I forced a smile. No. But inside, I wasn't sure anymore. Months passed. Daniel became a stranger living inside my house. Sometimes he'd disappear for entire Saturdays. When I asked where he'd gone. Business. Always business. Then came the secret bank withdrawals. Hundreds. Sometimes thousands. Money leaving our joint account. No explanation. I confronted him again. "Are you hiding something?" He looked straight into my eyes. "Please trust me." 3 words. Once they would have been enough. Now they only made me suspicious. My sister Linda wasn't helping. "I've seen this before," she said. "Men don't suddenly become mysterious unless another woman is involved." Even Daniel's brother Michael avoided my questions. Everywhere I turned, people looked uncomfortable. As if everyone knew something except me. One afternoon I drove past a small cafe. There he was. Sitting across from a young blonde woman. They were laughing. He reached across the table. She touched his hand. I couldn't breathe. I drove away before they saw me. That night I packed a suitcase. Daniel came home just after 9. He saw the luggage. "Claire. I'm done. Please let me explain. You've had months. It's not what you think." I laughed. What else could it possibly be? He stayed silent. Silence became his answer. 3 weeks later, I filed for divorce. People told me I was brave. I didn't feel brave. I felt abandoned. The divorce was surprisingly easy. Daniel didn't argue about the house. Didn't fight over savings. Didn't ask for anything except a small lake cabin his grandfather had left him. That surprised everyone. Linda even joked. He must be giving everything to his girlfriend. Emily stopped speaking to him. Birthdays became awkward. Christmas split into two houses. Our family photographs suddenly looked like evidence from another life. A year later, Daniel married the blonde woman. Her name was Vanessa. She was 32. Confident. Stylish. Always smiling for social media. Emily refused to attend the wedding. I'll never forgive him. Neither would I. Or so I thought. Then, 6 months before the reception I was now attending, Daniel unexpectedly called me. I need to talk. I'm busy. It matters. I doubt it. His voice hesitated. One day you'll understand. I almost hung up. Instead I asked. Understand what? But the line went quiet. Then he whispered. I'm sorry. That apology haunted me. Not because it sounded guilty. Because it sounded heartbroken. Over the following months strange things kept happening. Birthday flowers arrived anonymously. Someone paid for repairs on my roof. The mechanic refused payment after fixing my car. It's already been taken care of. By whom? He wouldn't say. Then one afternoon I received an envelope with no return address. Inside was only a handwritten quote. Kindness doesn't always ask for recognition. No signature. Just those words. I assumed Daniel was trying to ease his conscience. It only made me angrier. If guilt could buy flowers, maybe betrayal had been worth it. Then came the invitation. Daniel and Vanessa were hosting a large wedding reception because their original ceremony had been tiny during renovations at the venue. Everyone would be there. Family. Friends. Business partners. Even Emily planned to attend after months of refusing. I'll go for Grandpa, she said. Not for Dad. I almost declined. Then I noticed something unusual. Tucked inside the invitation was a second sealed envelope. Across the front were 6 handwritten words. Please don't open until reception dinner. No explanation. No signature. Just those words. I nearly threw it away. Instead, I placed it in my purse. For 6 months it stayed there. Unopened. Heavy. Like a question I wasn't ready to answer. Now I sat in the ballroom. Vanessa had just laughed at my seat. Her friends whispered behind champagne glasses. Emily squeezed my hand under the table. Mom. I know. It's okay. But across the room, I noticed Daniel. He wasn't watching his new bride. He wasn't greeting guests. He was staring at the sealed envelope sitting beside my dinner plate. And for the first time in years, I saw genuine fear in his eyes. I had spent 5 years believing I already knew the worst thing my ex-husband had ever done. I was about to discover. I hadn't even been asking the right question. Vanessa never noticed Daniel watching the envelope. She only noticed me. Every time someone greeted me warmly, her smile became a little tighter. Every time one of Daniel's old friends stopped by our table, she wrapped her arm around him just a little more. It looked less like love. And more like possession. Dinner was served. The room filled with laughter, clinking glasses, and soft music. I kept glancing at the sealed envelope beside my plate. It looked ordinary. Cream-colored. No return address. Only those 6 handwritten words. Please don't open until reception dinner. Daniel caught my eye from across the room. Almost imperceptibly. He shook his head. Don't. That simple gesture confused me even more. If he didn't want me to open it, why send it? Before I could think any longer, Vanessa appeared beside my chair. So. She smiled sweetly enough to fool anyone who didn't know better. I honestly didn't expect you to come. I was invited. She laughed. Daniel has always been too nice. Emily stood immediately. Watch how you speak to my mother. Vanessa shrugged. I'm just surprised she enjoys watching her ex-husband marry someone younger. Several nearby guests stopped talking. The room suddenly felt smaller. I calmly replied. I didn't come to compare ages. She leaned closer. Then why did you come? Before I could answer, Daniel walked over. Vanessa. His voice carried an unusual firmness. Please. She rolled her eyes. I'm only joking. No. Daniel said quietly. You're not. For a second. I saw something I'd never expected. Embarrassment. Not mine. His. He looked exhausted. Almost defeated. Vanessa walked away with an annoyed expression. Emily whispered. Dad never talks to her like that. Neither of us understood what was happening. Minutes later, Daniel's older brother Michael approached our table. He placed a gentle hand on my shoulder. Claire. I've wanted to tell you something for years. My heart skipped. What? He looked around nervously. I promised Daniel. Promised him what? I can't. Michael. His eyes filled with regret. I'm sorry. Then he walked away. Another secret. Another unanswered question. The speeches began. Friends shared funny stories. Family members congratulated the couple. Everyone laughed. Everyone except Daniel. He barely smiled. His attention kept returning to one thing. The envelope. Halfway through dessert, the wedding coordinator announced. Now we'd like everyone to open the small thank you envelopes placed on your tables. The room buzzed with excitement. Guests reached for matching envelopes. Mine was different. Mine had no ribbon. No printed design. Just handwriting. I picked it up. Daniel stood. No. His voice echoed louder than he intended. The room fell silent. Every head turned. Vanessa looked confused. What are you doing? Daniel took one step toward me. Then stopped. Vanessa's smile slowly disappeared. What is that envelope? It's nothing. Daniel answered too quickly. She frowned. If it's nothing. Why are you panicking? Without warning. She snatched the envelope from my hands. Vanessa. Daniel's voice cracked. She laughed. Oh, now I'm definitely opening it. She tore the seal. The ballroom became completely silent. She pulled out several folded papers. At first she looked amused. Then confused. Then. Her face turned completely white. The smile vanished. Her hands began shaking. What? She whispered. She looked at Daniel. What is this? Nobody answered. She unfolded another document. There were medical reports. Bank statements. Letters. Insurance paperwork. And finally, a handwritten note. She read the first few lines aloud before stopping. Her voice trembled. This was supposed to be for. She looked directly at me. Claire. I stood frozen. Daniel slowly walked toward us. I told you not to open it. Vanessa looked ready to cry. What is all this? Daniel gently took the papers. He looked at me for several seconds. Then quietly asked. Would you come outside with me? Emily immediately objected. No. I touched her arm. It's okay. We stepped onto the empty terrace overlooking the lake. The music faded behind closed doors. For several moments. Neither of us spoke. Finally he handed me the papers. You deserve the truth. I unfolded the first page. Hospital records. 5 years old. Daniel's name. Diagnosis. Advanced heart disease. I looked up. He nodded. It started before our divorce. I couldn't understand. What does this have to do with another woman? There wasn't another woman. I stared at him. I saw you. Yes. The restaurant. The phone calls. The secret meetings. The perfume. The money. He closed his eyes. The woman was Dr. Vanessa Carter. I blinked. What? My cardiologist. The world seemed to stop. The perfume? The nurses hugged me after surgery. The restaurant? She insisted I eat after appointments because I'd been skipping meals. The money? Medical treatments insurance wouldn't fully cover. But my voice barely existed. The divorce? He looked toward the lake. I was told I might not survive. I couldn't breathe. I didn't want you spending your retirement caring for a dying husband. Tears filled my eyes. So you? I pushed you away. No. I made you hate me. His voice finally broke. It was the only way I knew you'd let me go. Every memory crashed together. The receipts. The phone calls. The late nights. The hidden appointments. The bank withdrawals. The apology. The flowers. The anonymous repairs. The quote. Kindness doesn't always ask for recognition. My knees weakened. You let Emily hate you. I couldn't bear losing both of you. So why didn't you tell us? Because hope is cruel. He smiled sadly. Every time doctors thought I was improving, something else went wrong. I stared at the medical reports. There were surgeries. Complications. Months of rehabilitation. Chemotherapy-like medications that explained his weight loss. Everything. Everything I'd believed had another explanation. But Vanessa. I whispered. She knew? He nodded. She was my doctor. Then how did she become your wife? He sighed. After 2 years of treatment, she left the hospital. We stayed friends. I was lonely. So was she. I thought maybe life was giving both of us another chance. He looked back toward the ballroom. But somewhere along the way, his voice cracked again. She stopped loving who I was. And started loving what she thought I owned. I frowned. What do you mean? Daniel handed me the last document. It wasn't a medical record. It was a legal file. A trust agreement. My name appeared on the first page. So did Emily's. Every asset Daniel still owned, including the lake cabin, had already been transferred into a protected family trust years earlier. Vanessa legally owned almost nothing. My hand shook. What is this? If my condition returned. He said quietly. I wanted you and Emily protected. I looked back toward the ballroom. Inside, Vanessa was still standing with the opened envelope in her hands. Surrounded by guests. Looking as though the ground had disappeared beneath her feet. She hadn't opened a love letter. She hadn't uncovered an affair. She had accidentally exposed a truth. That Daniel had spent 5 years sacrificing everything to hide. And before anyone could explain, Vanessa suddenly screamed from inside the ballroom. You lied to me. Every conversation stopped. Every guest turned. And I realized. The hardest part of this story had only just begun. Vanessa's scream silenced the entire ballroom. You lied to me. Every guest froze with their fork still in their hands. The musicians stopped playing. Even the children became quiet. Daniel walked back inside before I could stop him. He didn't look angry. He looked tired. The kind of tired that comes from carrying the same secret for far too long. Vanessa slammed the papers onto the head table. You told me you were protecting your family. I was. No, she shouted. You made me believe we were building a future together. Daniel answered calmly. I hoped we were. She picked up the trust agreement and waved it in the air. You transferred almost everything years ago. I told you my daughter would always come first. You never said there was almost nothing left. Gasps spread across the room. Guests exchanged confused looks. Emily stood beside me. Mom. I squeezed her hand. I know. Vanessa turned toward everyone. He let me believe we'd own the lake cabin. Daniel quietly replied. I never promised you that. He said we would spend summers there. Living there isn't the same as owning it. She laughed bitterly. You tricked me. No. His voice remained gentle. I simply refused to rewrite the promises I made long before I met you. For the first time all evening, I didn't see an argument. I saw two people who had never truly understood each other. Vanessa looked around the room, hoping someone would support her. Instead, she found only silence. Then Daniel surprised everyone. Claire. He looked directly at me. I'm sorry. Those words landed differently this time. Not as guilt. Not as an excuse. But as someone finally laying down a burden. I stole your choice, he continued. I decided what was best for you without asking. Tears filled my eyes. You should have trusted me. I know. You let me believe I wasn't enough. I thought losing me slowly would hurt more than losing me all at once. You let Emily hate you. I know. His shoulders trembled. I deserve that. Emily stepped forward. You don't get to decide what I deserve either. Daniel looked at his daughter with tears streaming down his face. I missed your graduation. I know. I missed birthdays. I know. I watched your life through pictures because I believed you'd be happier. Emily's voice broke. I wasn't. The room became completely silent. She slowly walked toward him. You know what hurt the most? Daniel shook his head. I thought my dad stopped loving me. He covered his mouth. I never stopped. Then why didn't you fight for us? I thought love meant protecting you from pain. Emily cried. No. She hugged herself. Love means letting people stand beside you. Daniel closed his eyes. For a long moment. Neither of them moved. Then Emily took one small step forward. Another. And another. Finally. She wrapped her arms around her father. The ballroom erupted into quiet tears. Even strangers wiped their eyes. Daniel cried harder than anyone. I am so sorry. Emily whispered. You don't get 5 years back. I know. But maybe. She smiled through tears. You can have tomorrow. That sentence broke something inside me. 5 years. 5 birthdays. 5 Christmas mornings. 5 Mother's Days. 5 years built on one terrible misunderstanding. Daniel looked toward me. I never expected forgiveness. I walked slowly across the room. Every memory flooded back. The day we met in college. Our first apartment. The night Emily was born. The tiny accounting office we painted ourselves. Our first dance. Our last argument. The divorce papers. All of it. I stopped only a few feet away. You hurt me more than anyone ever has. I know. I hated you. I know. I told people you betrayed me. I know. You should have trusted me enough to let me choose. His eyes filled with regret. I was wrong. I nodded. Yes. Silence hung between us. Then I said the words neither of us expected. But I don't want to spend the rest of my life being angry at a man who was trying, in the worst possible way, to protect the people he loved. His lips trembled. I forgive you. He didn't smile. He simply cried. Sometimes forgiveness isn't joyful. Sometimes it's quiet. Across the room, Vanessa sat alone. The confidence she had worn all evening had disappeared. She looked smaller somehow. Older. She stood and slowly walked toward us. I owe you an apology. She looked directly at me. I judged you the moment you walked in. I remained silent. She continued. I thought you came here to ruin my wedding. I didn't. She nodded. I know that now. Then she turned to Daniel. I should have listened when you kept talking about Emily. She looked down. I kept seeing your family as competition. Daniel answered softly. They were never competition. They were your family. She wiped her eyes. I don't think I understood that. A week later, Daniel called me again. This time. I answered. Not because I wanted the past back. Because some conversations deserve a second chance. Over the next few months, we rebuilt something neither of us expected. Not a marriage. That chapter had ended. Something quieter. Respect. Friendship. Family. Emily began having dinner with both of us once a week. The first few meals felt awkward. Then they became normal. Daniel finally shared every medical report he'd hidden. His doctors believed his condition was stable. There would always be regular checkups. But for the first time in years, he wasn't facing them alone. One Saturday, we visited the little lake cabin. The same cabin he had fought to keep during the divorce. I finally understood why. Inside one bedroom stood an old wooden box. He handed me the key. I think these belong to you. Inside were 28 anniversary cards. Every single year of our marriage. Including 5 cards written after our divorce. None had ever been mailed. The first one simply said, some people think love is measured by staying. Sometimes love is measured by what you're willing to carry alone. I wish I had known that love is strongest when the burden is shared. The final card had only one sentence. Thank you for giving me more grace than I ever deserved. I closed the box. I'll keep these. You should. Months later, Emily announced she was expecting her first baby. She laughed as she placed the ultrasound picture on the table. I guess both of you are going to be grandparents. Daniel looked at me. I laughed. Looks like we're stuck being family. He smiled. The best kind. When our grandson was born, we stood together outside the hospital nursery. Not as husband and wife. Not as enemies. Simply as two people who had once loved each other deeply. And had finally learned that forgiveness doesn't erase the past. It gives the future somewhere to begin. As I watched that tiny baby sleeping peacefully behind the glass, I thought about the envelope that had changed everything. Vanessa laughed when she saw my seat. She believed the envelope would embarrass me. Instead, it exposed years of hidden sacrifice, painful mistakes, and a truth that none of us were prepared to face. That single envelope didn't save a marriage. Some stories aren't meant to end that way. But it did save something even more valuable. A family that almost spent the rest of their lives believing a lie. And if there's one lesson my life has taught me, it's this. Secrets told to protect the people you love often become the deepest wounds. The strongest families aren't the ones without pain, they're the ones brave enough to face the truth together.